BTC is still struggling around 65K today. It's been a little bit flat, but are there signs at the moment that there's a potential reversal coming? There's a couple of things going on here, and we're looking at some altcoins at big resistance areas. So today, I'm going to give you my plan. I'm going to tell you how I'm playing this thing. And I'm going to take you through some of these altcoins that I've opened a couple of hedge shorts on, just in case they want to send us a little bit lower in these current bullish conditions. Guys, we got so much to cover. And I'm also buying a couple of shit coins on Starbot. So send me your meme coins on ETH in the chats. Let's get right into it. And don't forget, if you are enjoying the bull market or the bear market, hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and, Ray's here as well. He's drinking some tea or some coffee. He's got double bull on today. Let's see what you got there. What else is going on there? There it is. Bang.
We're bullish.
Give the man some action. Look, the white hat is staying on. I'm not turning into a bear here because there's a couple of resistance things in our way. We're not going to be affected by that. Banter Bubbles, look at this. WLD. Okay, the guys that wanted 1 billion users, I think it was by the end of 2024, they missed their billion users only by about 980 million. And now this thing is pumping 26%. That's looking fun. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is cooking. Lido, ETH Play coming back to life. And we looked at that one yesterday. 𝗏𝗏, there's a little bit of news on that. I'm in a 𝗏𝗏 scalpy long here at the moment. And overall, things are generally green. Things generally look pretty good out there. So let's see what these guys are giving us here. The current situation. So there's a couple of things I want to highlight here for you guys before you come here and you say I've turned into an absolute bear and I'm going to get rinsed and all these types of things. And number one, let's just look at this chart. Then I'm going to tell you my current plan and my current game plan. So here we are on the 4 hour at the moment that I'm watching. And the first thing I've picked up, okay, other than some of these altcoins sitting at major resistance zones, we can see something here on BTC. We've got some bearish divergence. Now, bearish divergence is when the price starts moving higher and the oscillator starts pushing lower. Now, that doesn't always play out, but you guys that have been following me long enough, I love to trade the stocks and I love to trade gold and things like that using these bearish divergences and things like that. And they often give us a little sign as to what's to come. So all this is telling us is that the price is higher, the oscillator is lower. Maybe at the moment the buyers are running out of energy. So it's just something we need to be aware of. Sometimes these things don't play out. Sometimes they take a much longer to play out, but the signs are here on the 4 hour for BTC. So that is a red flag number one for me that I'm currently watching at the moment, just telling me, just be a little bit cautious with where we are currently. And if we do start moving over, the first thing I'm watching here, 63K, that is the big zone for me, just above 63K. That's our 236 fib tied in with some nice horizontals. So it's a nice clean little area where we could get a nice little bounce there on BTC. Then a little bit lower down, I do have this mid-level here. This is 62,200, and then I've got 61,217. So these are the big zones I'm watching now in the next 12 hours if we do get some kind of pullback. So, we know these market makers and they like to surprise us. So let's not be shocked if they want to send it higher for one more pump. So let's just try and identify some interesting areas. Where could these guys potentially wick us if they do want to send it higher? So what you want to do is just highlight a couple of these horizontal areas. You can see where there's a little bit of extra juice in the tank here. So there's a couple of levels here. 66,450. That is interesting to me. 67,300. That's an interesting zone for me. And then 69,855. Now these are all very possible zones that these bulls can just ping this thing to before there's a potential rejection. So watching these areas closely. Again, we've got sign number one here on BTC. Now I'm going to go through these altcoins with you shortly and just give you the full rundown as to what my current plan is. But first, let's just deal with this 69. Okay, fear and greed back at 69. Nobody's scared anymore. A few days ago we were at 23. Everybody was crying. Everybody was crying. You see, it's too fast. It's too fast. How can you go from complete fear to like wanting to leave crypto, hating your life, to now you are at 69 on the fear and greed index. A little bit concerning here, a little bit concerning that we're pushing so hard. But, one of the factors that is causing this big move, and we've noticed these Asians pumping, and we spoke about it yesterday. We touched on it briefly, but there's lots of China liquidity getting pumped into the markets at the moment. And you've seen this in your altcoins looking so good when you wake up in the morning. Well, those of you that are in my time zone, it's a great feeling. You wake up in the morning and things are so nice and green. And, we went through a period there where wherever I went to bed, I was wondering how these Asians were going to come and try and rinse me out overnight. Now I'm waking up and these things are absolutely pumping for us. So that is a lot got to do with the Chinese liquidity here. And Thomas has given you a nice little post, and he's actually dropped a couple of interesting charts that you want to look at. But he's basically given you a rundown as when they start pumping liquidity in the markets, what actually happens to the price of gold, the S&P, and Bitcoin. So take a look at this post. It is interesting. And he is saying he believes this is a short-term liquidity boost. So he's not necessarily saying this is now on and a full-time situation. He's saying this could be a short-term little play here from the Chinese government. So something to keep our eyes on. But that is, in case you were wondering why there was so much action. And I'm loving this thing. I mean, this is the best. This is Watch a Guru. They said, Senator Menendez officially convicted for taking bribes in gold and cash. But in 2017, he claimed Bitcoin is an ideal choice for criminals. He fucked that one up, didn't he? He could have used BTC, and he might have gotten away with it. Look at him now. And imagine he had his BTC there. And then Uncle Trump, look at this. Okay, he says he wants US, we know this, okay, he wants US in charge of crypto before China. But then the man's teasing another NFT launch. Like, we're not in 2021 now. Shouldn't we be launching some other kind of shitcoin on Sol or something along those lines? And here he is talking about another NFT. So, maybe, a little bit of 2021 vibes coming in. But for me, the way Trump is pumping this market at the moment, he's like the new Elon Musk. We had Elon Musk in 2021. Every time that man spoke, something happened. The market pumped, all these things. And now we got Trump. Every time this man sneezes or gets shot, the market seems to really start cooking. So things are definitely flying out there at the moment. And then we see a little bit of this and that, a couple of handbags going on here between Biden and Trump. But the 𝗘𝗶𝗁 letter just telling us the S&P 500 futures, you will note, that's actually fallen over today, on track for the largest one-day decline since April, okay, after Biden and Trump comments on the chip companies. So Trump is basically claiming that Taiwan took 100% of the US semiconductor business, and he says Taiwan should pay the US for the defense it provides. Anyway, volatility incoming, and you can see here a nice little chart as well from these guys. And we know, okay, we in for volatility. Here's the S&P finally falling over, and we got a little gap. So that is something we need to watch now. So if we do get a potential opportunity here, we could get a little turnaround here. We'd look for that gap to be filled, and then that could be the ticket to my area that I've been looking forward to. So the 5460 is what I'm looking forward to on the S&P, but we know this thing's an absolute freight train, and it just keeps grinding. Tomorrow, we'll probably find this thing's up another 3% or something ridiculous. But I'm waiting for my long here, 5,460. I'm waiting for that. I'm locked and loaded on Prime XBT, just waiting for that situation. And then I am in a trade at the moment. I'm about to get stopped out. So I've been short BTC basically the whole day. And you can see here they come again. Even though we got bearish divergence and things like that, I'm sitting in my short here on Prime XBT. You can see I've added a little bit to the position, and my stop is just above one of those wicks here. So we're going to see how this plays out, Ray, if they're going to come and grab me here. But, I still think risk reward at the moment on a lot of these altcoins and things like that is actually, it's getting tighter and tighter. Where we are sitting. So we're gonna get into this now, guys. And liquidation map. So just something interesting for you guys. We've got two big clusters here that we need to watch. This is the one-day liquidation map on BTC. The upside mark here, 68,500. Okay, isn't that interesting? Wouldn't that be a fun little target for the next couple of hours if they pumped it up there? 68,500. Lower down, 61,500. So couple of clear areas here for us, and just to remind you here, 61,500 is going to take us roughly to the 382, a little bit lower down, and the 60 it was the 68,500 that we were looking at there, and that takes us to just under this little region over here. So things could get a little bit spicy in the next while, but look out. Still think there's a potential short play coming here on some of these moves. So we're going to be watching that closely. BTC on the daily, let's just cover this. Big levels, obviously, we're looking at now, and big zones for me. So if you look to the upside, and Ray and I were just talking offline, And I've actually run a poll for you guys because I want to know what you guys are feeling. But we were saying, where is Max Payne? And where do you guys think it is? Just drop in the votes there. And, Race thinking Max Payne is 72K. Now, the reasoning behind this is because there's so many traders left behind at the moment. There's so many guys that didn't load up their bags. There's so many guys that are waiting for better entries and things like that. And what can be the ultimate trick here from these market makers, for me, is potentially send this thing higher, okay, trick you up here, get you to buy the shit out of the stuff, and then send you back down straight to hell and fill that CME gap. So that is potentially on the table. Michelle says 71.5. Is Max Payne. And if you look at this daily chart, there's no big levels here other than 72 at the top. Okay, so this is something we need to pay attention to. We've already lost 65K. Okay, that was our 618. That was a big one for me. And you can see we had these horizontals in play, all these things here. Look at that nice juicy area over there. And now, if we carry on here, the big level, 72K. What are they going to do? We all going to buy this thing late or what? Right? And then they're going to come and rinse and fill that CME gap. So that could be quite something, that could potentially play out. So again, we'll cover this every single day. We'll be here every day. No matter how they're paying us, we're going to be here. We'll deal with that for you guys and make sure you are covered. Now, let's just talk about some of these altcoins. And I just want to explain my thinking behind it. And number one, Victor just gave you an example of some tokens. Okay, so Celestia, Dime, Saga, ICP, etc. But he's basically said these are the bounces off the lows. Okay, now if you look at some of these, Juice 81%, Mayvf 145, Core 66%, ICP 71%. Okay, does nobody want to take profits at this type of area, after 70% gain? Maybe you should just, start looking. Maybe there are some traders out there, they're going to want to start exiting, banking a couple of profits and things like that. And the best way you can look at is to start tracking some high impact zones, some big resistance areas, and try and understand, at the very least, okay, before we get into this, but at the very least, okay, we know this market is hot. We've seen massive moves off these altcoins for the last few days, and things have been amazing. Now, do you want to give up all those gains at major resistance? Obviously, this thing could pop. It could go higher, okay? But the facts remain. We're sitting at TP zones on a lot of these altcoins. So what I would suggest here is to have some kind of balance in play or some kind of strategy. So what I've done here is I'm net long. I've loaded up my margin stuff. I've got my spot stuff. That stuff's all happening, and that's cooking. We net long, okay? Then we've got some leverage trades that we are sitting at. We're taking TPs at resistance zones. Then the other strategy, what you can do is start hedge play and start shorting a couple of these things in certain areas. So I've opened a couple of shorts here on some of these altcoins, and I'm going to take you through some of them here and show you what is happening. So the first one, or the first signal here for me, is ETH. Okay, we're sitting at a major resistance area for ETH, and this would naturally be now a TP zone. So if you are sitting in ETH positions and things like that, you can see this is a major area. We at trend, we at 50-day MA, we at horizontal here. So balance of probabilities, this thing should, okay, be a TP zone. This thing could potentially reject. So number one, if you're happy to sit in positions and we do get a rejection, you could be looking at ETH down to 3,230. Okay, alternatively, you could bank profits here in this area, and then you could look for your next trade. Okay, so your next trade would be a clear break of this area. Then you'd be buying some kind of support back at this zone. So you got to ask yourself the question, is it worth it now trying to squeeze out a few more percent here if we are looking like we could get some kind of pullback at any point in time? So I just want to say, just exercise caution here. We are net long on tons of things at the moment, but maybe you want to be TPing in some of these areas. So ETH was the first one I wanted to show you. And if we flip this chart over, now I've got tons of examples like this for you guys, but if we flip this chart over, okay, and we were sitting on this exact show, I'd be saying, fuck me, guys. There's a potential long coming there, potential bounce coming on this current situation. We've got trend support. We've got all sorts of things going on here. And again, we know these trends get broken and these horizontals do get broken and things like that. But if we have to play, level to level, we can see things like ETH sitting at a major resistance zone. So exercising caution here for me. Okay, here's Pendle as well. Very similar situation. And Pendle has now pumped into quite a big resistance band. This is a TP zone for me on Pendle. This is a huge area. Now, what is the risk reward for the next trade? Let's say Pendle does start popping. The next reaction zone for me is at 5.114. That's a big I mean, that's not a very big move from where we are currently. That's about a 7% move. But where's our downside play if this thing turns over? This is a 12% move to the downside. Okay, so, I mean, you got to make this decision here. We're sitting at a TP zone. We're sitting at major resistance here. Would it be a smart play to maybe just trim something off the table? Or do you want to hang on and see what happens at the next reaction zone? Because that's a 7% move, but that is the next area. That could potentially be that rejection zone for us. That's a 618. It's the 50-day MA, and it's big horizontal. So, interesting things happening here. And I've been clipping a couple of profits along the way on a lot of these trades. Ray, what's happening, Ever? What's going on?
𝗙𝗢𝗓 just looking like it's losing a level. So if 𝗙𝗢𝗓 loses this level, we probably are bullish. But if 𝗙𝗢𝗓 deviates back into the level,
candle.
No. I'm actually talking about 5-hour candles.
5-hour candles. Okay. Well, you can watch the S&P here on the 15 minutes. You can see it's starting to bottom out here. So maybe there's a little bounce coming on the S&P. We should see some kind of bounce then happening in crypto as well. Okay. So let's get back into this. So, okay, strategy number one here, you can TP at some of these areas, knowing what is ahead of you, knowing the size of the resistance band in front of you, seeing that we do have bearish divergence on the 4-hour on BTC. Maybe these things are starting to get tired. Do you want to round trip all your trades that you've been sitting in? So that's the question you need to ask yourself. Number one. So Pendle's a great example here of a potential rejection zone where we are. And then the buy zone for me for Pendle, if we do start falling over here, I'm still waiting a little bit lower. Look at this beautiful zone here at 4.1. Okay, so this for me for Pendle, if we do get some kind of pullback here on BTC, that is my high conviction play. That is where I'm looking for bigger trades. That is where I'm looking for something to hold on for a much longer move. But right now, looking at this level by level, it keeps telling me I keep moving into areas where we could be rejecting and we could be potentially turning over. So potentially 4.15 for me on Pendle is the real zone that I'm super interested in. Other than that, you are playing the scalping game at these resistance bands, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples shortly. I just want to get through some of these charts at the moment. And Grayscale here today, they just dropped some news on their decentralized AI fund. Okay, so we've got Near, Render, File, LPT, and Tower. Okay, they are now part of this fund, and we can see there's been a little bit of pumpage. And one of the things for me that I'm certainly not looking to short at the moment is Render. I think Render has been sold off a ton at the moment, and I think this thing has got legs. I think this thing can go to 7.8, 7.9, give or take, somewhere in that region. So for me, Render has been oversold with all the uncertainty on the token switches and all these things that happen on the exchanges. And for me, Render is only going to be a TP zone or some kind of short zone at around about 7.8, 7.9. So if you're still sitting in Render, your big support, you good here. 6.4 is what you're going to be watching. You can see we've got a nice cluster of support here. Nice little 382. Look how they held this thing up nicely today when they dipped lower. So watching 6.43 for me on Render, the real move for me, that's the real rejection area that I would be looking out for. Right now, happy with Render, no changes there. Then I've got Tower. Also, some news on Tower, and now we've got the guys on Twitter posting a couple of setups and things like that, posting some very bullish situations here. And this is my view on Tower at the moment. And I've got a TP zone incoming for me, 343. So I'm in a Tower scalp at the moment on ZoomX. I'm going to show you shortly. And 343 is the target that I'm looking at. That is my TP zone, and that is where I'm going to be de-risking this thing. So if we do get one more push here, I'm looking to exit there. Whatever they want to do afterwards, that's, I'm not interested. That for me is a TP zone. That is where we need to maintain our discipline here. If we do get that pop into that region, then naturally after that there will be future trades. There will be more setups and things. This is actually my second or third Tower trade. And you can see we've just been going level by level on this thing. There's been tons of opportunities, and the opportunities will keep coming, but don't give away gains that you don't need to. Okay, so here's Tower. I'm trading this one on ZoomX at the moment, and all seems well. It's a $16,000 position, and we got $1,000 profit here at the moment. So just waiting for that TP a little bit higher up, and you can see my current stop is 293. At the moment, we might just start shifting that one up to entry now, because we've had a nice little candle out of Tower. We've had a nice bullish candle, and that 50-day MA is now looking like a little bit of support for us. So Tower for me, 343. I'm out of this trade. I'm taking profit there. Pullback wise, if you do get moves lower, 295, 276. Those are the zones you want to watch. And remember, you can trade this with me on ZoomX. It's a KYC free, no KYC exchange. They've got sign-up bonuses. They've got tons happening. All you need to do is grab the link in the description. Okay, one of the tokens that I shorted today is NEAR. Okay, now we can see that bullish news coming out of Grayscale, and we could see that, NEAR has been pumping hard. But what caught my attention today was this candle. Okay, look at this reversal candle that printed on the 8 hour. I didn't like the look of that when I saw that, even though this felt a little bit early. It felt like NEAR should actually be pushing a little bit higher. I wanted to see NEAR somewhere around 6.6. 6.7, anywhere in that region there was a nice little horizontal. But that 100-day moving average you see on your screen has come into play. Now, we've seen this move on a couple of altcoins here, and this actually gave me a trigger to say, okay, this is a hedge short opportunity here if this market starts falling over. So I've opened up a NEAR short. I'm going to show you that one shortly. And right now, if we do get a move lower, simple game plan. Look how nice this is, okay? If this doesn't excite you, okay, are you even a trader? Okay, and I mean, look at this. We got the 382, we got the 200-day MA, we got the horizontals at 5.5. Okay, for me, for NEAR. So if we do get this move, now this candle looks pretty bearish the way this is just formed. So if we do get some kind of push up, I'm looking for that lower high there, and then looking for this move down into 5.5. So that for me is going to be a higher conviction buy for me on NEAR. That could be a nice trade where we could start building a decent sized position there on 5.5. So if we are getting a pullback, I'm expecting some kind of quick pullback here. And 5.5 for me, big number on NEAR. And right now, look, the strategy on the short right now for me is a stop above the highs. Now, we've had that big candle that pushed lower. If they are going to come and rinse me out, we're going to try and minimize the damage there if they are going to send it higher. And then we're going to start attacking a couple of higher levels here. And, this little band up here, the 6.6, 6.7, somewhere in that region, we could get that nice little rejection. So right now you can see I'm in a NEAR short, I'm in an AVAX short, I'm still long Phantom, I'm still long Dupe. So no changes there. These are just short-term hedge plays just to float the account down a little bit there and just keep us a little bit balanced if things do start falling over. So just a little strategy there, and we'll take profit. If this falls over, we take profit at those 382 pullback zones, and then that can also load up your account to go long on these things or add to positions that you are trying to hold for a longer term. So for me, that Phantom, I'm obviously trying to hold this thing and grow the size of it as much as I can. You can see Dupe is now a 20K position. I want to try and get that one a bit bigger as well. Phantom, we want to try and sweat this out. We want to see if we can get this to 100K, 150K size. So we're just going to let that play out. But in between, we're looking at head shorts, things like that. And NEAR and AVAX is what is happening. And here's the AVAX chart. So this is why I've looked at an AVAX short as well. We are now pushing into major resistance. Now we know we've had a cracking move on AVAX, and that first TP has hit for that long play. So for me, this is now a short-term short situation on AVAX. Now, why is this attractive to me? 50-day moving average is in the way. You've seen that tons of times. You've got a 382 pool in the way. You've got big horizontals in the way as well. And I'm sure there was some order blocks here floating around. Look at that. We've got a bearish order block as well on Lux Algo here with a possible rejection area. So for me, the risk reward for me on a short is starting to look a little bit more attractive. So what can this short potentially look like? Well, number one, if we do get some bullish push here, I would look for some kind of fake out through that 50-day MA and then the real move a little bit lower down. So typically that would look like this. If we were looking for longs, let's invert this. If we were watching this chart drip lower, we'd be saying, geez, guys, long opportunity coming at 29.5. And it would typically look like this. So a little push down into that 50-day MA and then a potential bounce. So just to get the perspective right, just sometimes worth it just to invert these charts a little bit. So simple hedge play here. If the market falls over, we've made a good choice here. This is a resistance zone and a reaction zone, and you can't be faulted for taking profit on a nice altcoin pump into a major resistance zone. So even if you're not up for looking for shorts or things like that, these are areas you're looking for TP. Remember, along this journey, okay, when the market is bullish, it's not like there's one trade. Okay, there's literally going to be trades and opportunities every single day. Remember in March, how this market pumped and then they came and they ripped us everything back down. Now remember, we're going to get these types of scenarios. We're going to get new opportunities all the time. So there will be another AVAX trade. It might be lower down here on this pullback. I'm going to give you those areas. Or alternatively, if it does pop higher, you've missed absolutely nothing, because at some point you're going to get that little pullback buy as well on AVAX. So don't put yourself in a position where you feel you're absolutely FOMOing out here and you're missing out on anything. Because I can assure you, this crypto market is around 24/7 and you are not missing out on anything. Okay, you can catch up anytime with some of these things. And for me, AVAX 26.35. So if the short starts playing out, I would look at 26.35. Nice little area there, little 382 bounce, nothing too greedy here. We're just looking for a bullish bounce, bullish move lower. If they're going to give it to us, and if they pop it higher, well, great. Then we'll get a new entry later on AVAX. So that is what I'm watching. 26.35. If you start breaking 29.5, then we can turn bullish again when we get support up in that region. But for now, playing safe. And here's Link. And Link looks like it's starting to turn over a little bit here. And for me, this was a big zone that I dropped for the Sniper Club guys as well earlier today. We did a live session, and we were looking at a couple of these charts at resistance bands. So Link for me, very clean here. This is the 50-day MA. This is the 100-day MA, offering up massive resistance here for us. So risk-reward play. Again, this is a TP zone. If you're bearish, maybe you want to look for a fake out into this area, and then you can maybe pick up some kind of short off that. And then you're going to be typically looking just for that 382 bounce, 13.23. That would be your first sort of area where you'd be looking for buys again on a potential move here. And just to flip this one lower over again and just get the perspective right. I mean, if I sat here in front of you guys and we were looking at potential bounces after a pullback, I mean, this thing looks amazing at about 14.7, somewhere in that region here. A little fake out to the downside and a little pop higher. Okay. And if that's going to play out, then obviously, naturally, this thing stays bullish and we keep cooking. So that is what I'm watching on Link now. I don't have an entry on Link. If it does start faking out above that 50-day, that 100-day MA, I'm probably going to look for something in this region here. And very simple game plan as well. If Link starts turning bullish and it blows the 50-day, it blows the 100-day, we know factually, okay, this is great support. This is going to be epic support for the next trade. So there's no rush here. Okay, this is going to be great support for you for that next bullish play there on Link, and your target's going to be that 200-day MA at 16.28. Okay, so watch that area closely. And again, it's as simple as identifying big reaction zones, big resistance zones, and just playing the game accordingly. Now, if you are holding spot, there's no need to sell here. We know Bitcoin's over the 200-day MA, Bitcoin's over the daily trend. Things are looking bullish on Bitcoin. So this is not for spot people to be stressed about. This is really for leverage traders. If you guys are sitting in longs and things like that and you haven't taken profits, just take note, okay? These are areas of interest that you need to just watch in case there is a turnaround on the market. And the next one for me is IMX. Okay, so we've had a great move on IMX, and looks like we could get a potential reversal here as well. But the beautiful thing about this is the invalidation is so clean, and the bullish trade after you get invalidated is pretty big. Okay, so there's nothing really to be too stressed about here or too concerned about. But what I'm looking at here for IMX at the moment, you can see we've banged into horizontals. We've banged into the 50-day moving average, big resistance zone. We banged into the 382, 1.69. Okay, so we know this is a massive area for IMX, and it's a very simple plan here. If we do get a pullback, looking at some kind of bullish pullback here, it's an inverse head and shoulders at play. So we're not getting greedy here. We're not trying to send anything down to zero. We're literally just looking for a bullish pullback. So for me, on IMX, 1.4485. Anywhere down in that region looks relatively bullish to me, and could be a nice little banger. So watching this one closely, and then there's going to be a beautiful trade here. When IMX does eventually decide to break this 50-day MA and to break this trend, we're going to be looking at a nice big size long here. That should take us up to that 200-day moving average. So a little bit of patience required here. And that's about a 36% coming just to that 200-day MA. And then look at this thing. If this gaming narrative starts taking off again, we got 50% just to that right shoulder. And we got about 115% back to those highs. So a little bit of patience here on IMX, but as expected, okay, I think it's fair to say, as expected, we are having a fight in these areas. We are having a reaction again, and it doesn't suddenly mean everything is now bearish. It just means it's time to breathe a little bit. Maybe we're looking for a couple of bullish pullbacks there. Ray, I've just lost my sound. Let me just click this, get the sound working again here. Sound magically disappears. Okay, we are back. And we are cooking. Ray, say something.
What's happening, champion?
Take a break says, love the beard. You know how much oil goes into this beard? Do you have any idea the amount of oil that I put into this beard to keep it so beautiful? I saw a comment the other day. Some guy was like, this man can paint my house with his beard. But I mean, I must say, I did cut it nicely. It looked like a paintbrush the other day. Cameron says, what about Rune? So Cameron, Rune is sitting at a big resistance band as well. These alts are all identical at the moment. They all have a similar look to them at the moment. So watching the same situation here. So you at TP zones, you at bearish zones, you at TP zones, you at areas you might want to tighten your stops a little bit. If you're sitting in tons of positions, maybe just start looking, maybe TP 1 or 2 in a couple of areas, tighten up some stops if they are going to bring that lower. Remember, there is another trade coming on another level, okay? You just have to hang in there. And if this does start running away from you, you can catch up later. These things are easy to catch up in crypto, but it hurts when they come and kill you. Here's 𝗬𝗎 as well, identical, okay? The same situation. I'm showing you this. They all look the same, okay? So these alts are either all going to rip and start blowing up through these areas, or we're going to have some kind of short-term pullback here. So 𝗬𝗎 is another great example here. Look at this. Just like IMX, we are pushing into the 50-day MA. We are pushing into horizontal. We are pushing into trend as well. Now, this is quite a big daily trend as well. So, you know, there could be a beautiful trade here on 𝗬𝗎, but right now, this is resistance. We need to acknowledge this is a potential area where you can get rinsed here, okay? So if you're trying to get big longs here, your downside is 0.75 on 𝗬𝗎 right now. So again, play strategically. And an example like this, what you can do is you can start zooming in on the 15-minute time frame on this thing. And then you can say, okay, cool. So, you know we had a resistance band. Okay, we hear that. And but you want to take a chance. You think this thing is going to start popping through the 50-day MA. You think it's going to start blowing through and start entering the next region. And you want to get ahead of the game. Okay, so, you can see here's this 50-day big resistance. Okay, you can see what's going on here. They're blocking you in this area. So what you can do is say, okay, I want to gamble here, and I want to look for potentially a bounce off this region. Maybe this is going to give me my ticket into that big trade to the 200-day MA. Well, then you keep it as simple as this. You can try and nibble around in these areas. You can see you've got some support here. You can start nibbling in this area. Maybe it starts bouncing up and a little moves into that zone. You can start looking again. And eventually this thing does or will crack the horizontal band. So for me, it's a very simple game here. You can play these little breakouts, and quite often, you just want to make sure that breakout gets a nice little retest that you want to buy. So typically, this thing could grind higher, okay? And if they are going to send you up, okay, look out for that nice pop, okay, which you generally get. And then you're looking for buys in this region, okay? Now, that is going to be your area. So you're most likely going to bang out a stop under your breakout candle, wherever that might be. And then you can test that zone, okay? Test that area, because then that might be the early bird on this potential trade into the next zone. But until we break these levels, we need to remain bearish, okay? You can see range high. You can see the range low here on the smaller time frame. So just exercise caution in these areas, okay? But there's nothing saying you can't grab a little breakout trade here on the 15 minutes that could potentially turn into something bigger for you. But when you zoom out, just remember what you're dealing with, okay? Just remember the bigger picture here tells you we've had a big run here, and potentially now it's time to just pull back a little bit here or give you a bit of a breather. So just play safe, okay? That's all I want you guys to see. And here's Sol again. Nice little rejection off a 618. So 163 is our resistance band for Solana. And here we go. So nice little horizontal coming into play. Nothing new here. Nothing fancy going on. We've just got a typical rejection at a 618 here for Sol. And maybe this is time for a little bit of a breather. So let's just take a look here. Where are our potential levels? We're going to pull in a fib from the low to the high. And we're going to look at our next reaction zone. So look at this beautiful area. Now, this might be worth waiting for. Okay, 147. We've got the 50-day MA on Sol. We've got the 382. We've got horizontals in that region. So 147 for me looks like a great area here. So if we do start sweating lower, let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Bang. That is what we're looking for, 147. Okay. And a little bit lower down, we've got about 140, and that is going to be our 618. Tied in with this 382. So let's just pull out the 618 as well. Bang. Look at that. So we've got two amazing areas here for Sol. Okay, with a little bit of patience, we should see something like that. Mark, good morning from Brisbane. What's happening there? So watching these two zones quickly, watch these two zones closely. These are two great areas for me on Sol, 147, 137. Okay, and then the same plan that you can do with 𝗬𝗎 that we looked at. Let's just, you can bang out the same scalper setup for yourself, and you can start fiddling around. If you believe this market's going to turn bullish here at these resistance zones, and you want to catch that breakout, simple game plan. Okay, let's just, oh yeah, we've actually got a bit of a chart going on here. Let's just wipe this one. Let's go 15 minutes. Okay, and typically what you want to look for is some kind of break of the highs or something along those lines to trigger your next move higher. So you can pull some fib. So you go from these lows to the highs. Okay, you can identify a couple of scalper zones if you want to play around in some of these areas. You can do that type of thing, and then look at these. Okay, so you're going to watch this closely, this region. And if we do start grinding higher, okay, so if we do start grinding higher, what you're looking for is that pop of these highs. So if we take out a new high, print a new high there, you probably got a situation there where you can also do the same thing. You can bang out a stop under that breakout candle and see if that move is going to hold. And then typically as well, you should have a situation here where you get some kind of trend play as well. So if this thing starts pushing higher, you can also start playing trend breaks and things like that into that area. But it's a lot of work, okay? It's a lot of screen time that you need to spend in front of your PC. You might get stopped out 5 or 6 times while you're trying to do something like this to try and catch that last move into the area. Or you can just sit back and say, okay, this is major resistance. I can take profit here. I can raise my existing stop, or I can sit back, wait for a pullback. And if this thing pops higher, you know, we can come back and we can look for support later on for the next trade, because I'll have the next trade set up for you guys. It will be ready and waiting, sirs, just for you guys. And remember, I'm here every single day, guys. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, and another one I've got here is Injective. So this trade is going quite nicely at the moment, pushing into now a resistance area. So I've highlighted this for you. It's not a massive conviction resistance zone because we don't have the 50-day and things like that tied in here. But Injective at 26.8 is starting to look pretty toppy, okay, in that region. So 26.8 for me could be just a little pullback zone before we start making our way to our next areas. And I'm watching that one closely. So I'm still sitting in this Injective long on weeks at the moment. And you can see I've opened up a hedge short. So you can see here's my Injective long at the bottom. And I never really got to add too much to the size. So right now it is $15,000. It's $2,500 up. And I've opened up a hedge short on Injective. So it's a much smaller size. It's $6,000. And my strategy here is I've remained bullish on Injective. Okay, I'm expecting some kind of pullback here at some point. And, you know, I'd like to see that reaction higher up at this 26.8. And ideally, I want to add to my Injective position on any pullbacks onto decent support. So for me, 23.3 is what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm long Injective. I've opened up a hedge short. Instead of TPing now at this region, like I've done with some other alts, I've opened up a hedge short here just to carry me down. Okay, if this thing starts popping and shooting through this level, we'll cut that out at probably a 1 or 2% stop there, and then this thing can carry on moving up to the next area. So that is my current game plan on Injective. I'd love to build a nice big position here. So looking for this move down 23.3, I would love to jump into this thing and start making it a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fun. Okay, so we'll see how that is going to play out. And then remember, you know, with these altcoins as well, as they start breaking new levels and things like that, you have new support markers that can come up for you. Now, Sheldon and the team and everyone, and myself included, we spend a lot of time talking about how you can add to positions and things like that in Sniper Club. So if you want to find out more about that stuff, come and join the Sniper Club. There's a link in the description for you guys. I do regular live sessions there. I'm doing 3 a week at the moment. The banger is always Sunday night. I do it with DJ and Dave, and we tee up the week. But earlier today, I did a session with the guys as well. And there's a lot going on. All these charts you see are in the Sniper Club for you. I update these things every single day for you guys. You have access to all these charts. I give you my thoughts, my ideas every morning. When I get to the office, it's the first thing I do. I prep these things. So when you wake up, you'll have access to all my charts. So jump in there at Sniper Club if you want a little bit of the action. Now, can we get into the shit coins, please? And this was me on Twitter earlier today. Follow me at the Lord of Entry on Twitter. And I'm nearly at 20,000 followers. Can you guys ramp that up for me, please? I would appreciate that. And
I just wanted to say Thank you for the short, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, did I get stopped out though?
No. Thank you for giving me the short call. You gave me the call.
Send it to zero. Okay, that was close. Okay, cool. Let that thing carry on. Let's talk shitcoins. Okay, so I dropped this post on Twitter earlier today, and I'm not as in touch with these ETH memes as I should be, and I want to actually increase my game. So I asked a couple of questions saying, what am I missing here out of my Starbot portfolio? And this is my current Starbot portfolio. I'm going to show you guys now. And some of the comments here, somebody told me I needed to buy 𝗫𝗏. James says, max shitcoinery. DTI boys are here. I mean, we love DTI. I've got tons of that. And what else have we got here? We've got Meow. We've got Hemule. Okay. And there was something else. Here. 𝗏𝗡𝗏. Okay, so I've got 𝗏𝗡𝗏 already. We know, oh, this was the one. Jesus. So I had a look at these charts, and let's buy some of these things. So I'm going to pop out this Starbot quickly. Now, guys, remember, Starbot is an easy, quick way to trade ETH memes, okay? It's very simple. If you're used to trading Solana memes and things like that, you're using BonkBot or whatever those platforms are. This runs on Telegram. It's super easy for you guys. So let me pull this thing up, and hopefully you guys aren't going to rinse me again. Let's see. Okay, let me pull this up. I've got such PTSD, guys. The first time I ever showed the Starbot on the screen, I by accident showed my wallet or my key or whatever it was, and within 5 minutes I got rinsed out. So I've got absolute PTSD on this. So please don't clean my account out, sirs, if you do see something that doesn't belong to you. Okay, so here is my current Starbot portfolio. Okay, these are my current list of shitcoins, and it's as simple as this. Okay, you drag the contract address, so you go to Dex Screener. And okay, well, the first one I'm gonna look at is Hemule. Okay, so now I can't show you both at the same time, but I'm gonna pull this Hemule out. The chart looks like absolute dog shit, but we'll talk about this one shortly. I'm gonna buy some Hemule because it looks so disgustingly low. And I remember there was tons of pumpage on this thing previously. So all I'm doing here on Starbot is I'm copying the contract address, then I'm pasting it here in Starbot. Okay, there it is. Now it says, do you want to buy? Okay, so let's buy. So I'm going to buy some Hemule. Confirm. Now look how quick this is versus like MetaMask or Uniswap or 1inch, all these things. And oh, come on, TikTok. It should be 10 to 40 seconds. There we go. Okay, bang. And yeah, it's happening now. So there it is. Okay, so now I bought some Hemule. That was the first one. And let's see, the other one was Jesus that the guy gave me. So let's buy some Jesus. This thing also looks pretty done at the moment, but we never know. Maybe we get some pumpage here on some of these memes. So I'm going to drop the Jesus contract address in here. Okay, so same story. Drop it in. Let's buy some. Confirm. Okay, that's. I'm going to show you these charts now. Let me just finish the process here. But anyway, you can see how quick and simple this is. So I've loaded up some Jesus here. And what's the next one? The other one was 𝗫𝗏𝗏. Okay, but 𝗫𝗏𝗏 wasn't quite on my level. So I'm going to show you. 𝗫𝗏𝗏 where I want to buy that. Okay, there you go. So there it is. I bought some shit coins using Starbot. There's a link in the description for you guys. Super simple. Click on the link. You get active straight away. And it's that simple to trade ETH memes. You just send some ETH to this thing, and then you're away. Okay, let's look at some of these charts here, and I'll explain my thinking behind some of it. And here's the 𝗫𝗏𝗏. So that guy copied me in Twitter there. He says, buy 𝗫𝗏𝗏. Okay, well, this thing's $18 million market cap, but I'm looking a little bit lower. Okay, so when 𝗫𝗏𝗏 comes down for me, down to this 0.012 level, okay, that looks interesting to me. So let this, we've got a rising trend here. I've got a 786 in the zone. Looks like a nice area. So for me, not a buy yet on 𝗫𝗏𝗏, okay, because I mean, this thing looks like it's trending down. So I'm looking at there, 0.012. Here's Jesus. And I mean, this thing looks like it's been around since Jesus. I mean, this thing's been around for a long time, and does have some kind of staying power. But I expect, you know, if this market turns super bullish, we might see these things get revitalized. So here it is, $15 million market cap at the moment. Doesn't look great, okay? But there is a little bit of support down here, 0.075. and watching that one, and then 𝗲𝗏𝗡. Okay, so this thing was an absolute banger at one point. When was this? This was in February, March, when these memes were absolutely pumping. So only a 2,600% gain then, and we could use a little pump on this one. So let's see, let this thing play out. If things turn bullish again, you'll be shocked as to what type of shit coinery starts pumping in the market. You actually won't believe it. We'll be opening these meme things again, and you're going to be seeing all these things you thought went to hell coming back here and starting to move again. So yeah, grabbed a few of those. Let's see what else. Oh, Dan says, why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone rinse me? Guys, it was so bad, but it was my fault. I showed my wallet address on Starbot, and it was gone. It was gone in seconds, gone in 60 seconds. No, it was offensive. Okay, so guys, that's it. That's a wrap. That's a wrap for me and Ray. And you've got your plan. Okay, you know my plan now. I've taken profits on some trades. I'm loaded up. Spot, margin, we net long. Okay, we super bullish here. But at some point, short-term pullbacks here. You know how to play it. If you want to break into the new area, you know what to do if this thing's going to come lower. And guys, good luck. Okay, just let's figure out these strategies nice and early, because this bull run could be a long one. Okay, and you don't want to keep getting rinsed. Okay, when you can avoid it. So let's just keep the strategies going, and let's just be smart here. Let's trade smart. Let's bank profits and do these things. Okay.